Welcome back to Sampstra Games, the place to find new strategy games. And today we're gonna play the demo of the Great War Western Front. And I know it's a bit early to say because it's just a demo. I think we might have found my new favorite war game. It is just so good. Just so the game is played, the combat is in real time, but the overall game is turn-based. So some of you might be like, what? Sampstra likes a real-time war game more than turn-based? That's not real. Well, I didn't think so either, but here we are. It's just really, really good, guys. And I'm gonna be buying this game when it comes out, because, wow. It's just, I hope it's not too expensive, but let's see. Alright, so we're actually gonna be weirdly playing the tutorial and not the historic battle, and the reason for this is the fact that the historic battle only shows you the real-time combat of the game, and it also seems to only show you the actual battle, so not the pre-battle part, and I think it's just a shame because it only shows you like a third essentially of the game. It does show you the main game mode, which is obviously what you want, but I want you to see all of it because I love the big map stuff. That's so good. Like, that's where the turn-based stuff come in, and it's just incredible. I think we can just go to like preparation for battle, so I can walk you through some of the stuff. Not necessarily have to go completely from the beginning. Oh wait, is it not going to show me the cinematic scene anymore? There's like a cinematic scene for the tutorial that apparently we won't be getting. So this is the big map of the game. Up here is national will. So what national will does is essentially is a measure of like the people, like how excited are people for your war effort, like how much are people willing to like join you in a war, like how many people are going to be sending you money, etc. If you can get this of the enemies to 0, then you win the game. Another way is to gain a great victory, which means that you have to take over important objectives of the enemy. For example, Kreuznach here is where the Germans have their HQ and where they typically like deploy new units. So destroying that would be lots of points for it. Each star is representing like how much in control of a specific area is, and I think it also affects the national will, I believe. In this game, you have two main things. So you're going to have money and supply, which you can see over here. You can use supply is what you're going to be using inside the combat itself, and supply is dependent on the like supply units and also like general units that you have. This might sound a little bit strange that how much infantry you have will apply supply, but I will explain why that is as soon as we get into combat. Actually, it does make a lot of sense. It's just not super intuitive the first time you hear about it. Now, this game is very interesting with how it deals with fog of war. It's quite unusual from what you see in normal war games. So you have the standard fog of war where, for example, I can see some units like in the back there. And in the real-time combat, there's also a fog of war where you can see. But on this main map, if you click on Shuttle, it won't let me. Okay, so when later on we're going to click on Châtillon-sur-Marne, we would not know how many units there are of the enemy and what they are, even though we're adjacent to it, because you have to try to get intel. So you have to pay for army intel, and this will reveal units in the surrounding area. Now, this mission can fail if the enemy does anti-spy stuff. So what the enemy can do is they can do like a counterintelligence to stop you from gaining this information. And now the army intel would last for a certain amount of time, and that's not like super important. Next up, we can move here, and we're going to be moving our people here to Montreal. This is super important because the like I said, the amount of supply units that you the amount of units that you have in a region when you start a combat will affect the supply that you have for the combat. So you want to have a lot of units in a hex before you attack, which is what you always want to do, but whatever. Then we're going to place some tanks. And it's gonna show up on Paris because Paris is our it is where our deployments units show up. I think maybe also some can show in Luneville. You can actually see it here in this deployment France. This says that there's a deployment, so you can see this is like a special effect of this particular city. Next up, they want us to get aircraft, so we're going to do that. And we're going to send it to Montreal as well. And we're going to jump into the next chapter, which is fine. Yeah, but and you can obviously like end your turn whenever you need to, and then you can go into combat. So siege artillery is interesting because this is not a unit that's going to be shown like on a specific hex. Instead, they can just sort of be used, and if siege artillery is region specific, so if the region gets taken away, then it will get destroyed. Now we're doing right now the counter intel, which is essentially that we're stopping the enemy from getting information. This is super important because when you start a combat, you don't always, like when the enemy attacks you or you attack the enemy, you don't always know like what kind of enemy setup they have, so you kind of have to guess, which is quite interesting. So another thing I can do here is I can level up the Montreal, so I can increase the supply depot in this region. This is important because if we have enough units, we can gain more supply for the real-time battle, which is going to be super important. And here you can gain some additional upgrades if you've got the stuff for it. Not super important right now. And we're going to start with the defensive battle. We'll see if we do offensive battle in this chapter as well, but we'll start with defensive. It's pretty fun. We'll have to do what tutorial tells us. It's not going to be like a super free-for-all thing, but I like it. So this is the battlefield information. Because we have spied on them, we actually know the setup of their army, but you might not know this. Now, the game is telling you here that this is going to result in a stalemate, and the recommendation is if it's a stalemate, you should do it yourself because you're going to be better than the AI. This is super important. Here you can see my corpse supply, which is huge. And this is, again, based on the amount of unit that I have in Montreal, sorry. This is the supply I'll get inside the combat itself. I only have a max supply draw of 600, so it's going to get added up. So my total supply is 2,000. This is what I can use in combat. If you don't use it, it will go back into the region. This is super important part of the game, is that the regions, they keep information between battles. So for example, the first time you fight in Montreal, you will build trenches and they will stay there next time you combat there. And this is great for you because you don't have to spend your supply to build them again unless the enemy destroyed it. So building some interesting support structures like, mortar weapons or artillery can be useful because they just kind of stay in the region. But if it gets captured by the enemy, it gets destroyed. There are some structures that the enemy can sort of take control of. I believe trenches, for example, if they take over your regions, they can keep your trenches. There is a research that allows you to change that to destroy it, I think, if you want, but etc. We are now in the pre-battle phase. You can see here that I have the supply of 1,500. This is presumably less than the 2,000 because the game also already sort of pre-built some stuff for me. You can see it sort of pre-built some trenches here. These are all trenches, by the way. There are different type of trenches. There is a attacking trench or like firing trench, and then there's also a communication trench, which essentially allows you to just like move from a firing trench. The disadvantage of these communication trenches is that this is, for example, a communication trench, is that what am I trying to say? They sort of, you can shoot at them. You can shoot at people in normal trenches as well, but they will not take much damage. But if you do it in there, so now this is a command trench. Anyone inside a command trench is like fully unsafe. The only way to destroy it is by moving infantry into a command trench. Now, these AB points are command points. If you take control of them, you will gain extra points, victory points, which will help you win the game faster. What the game wants me to do right now is to build improved trench, which is what we're going to build over here. This is essentially firing trench. If you're wondering why I'm placing it in such a sort of not maybe the best positions, it's because I literally cannot control it because the game will not let me move left and right, so I can only place where I'm seeing. So we're just going to go to town. Doesn't matter. You can upgrade the trenches, and then you can build calm trenches. So for example, I could build a trench like this. This allows them to move faster and they don't have to run around. You can also build bunkers if you want to protect your people. There are other support, and all of this is costing me my supply points, by the way, so that's why it was so important to have so many of them. Now we're going to play NG nests. We're going to build. You can see the range over here, and they have to be sort of adjacent to a trench of yours so that like your people can go into the trench and control it from there. We'll build it like this. Again, I can't move left and right now, so we're just going to have to go to town on this. Alright, barbed wire, razor wire, this will slow down the enemy so it's easier for you to shoot at them. Balloons. Balloons are a huge part of the game. Balloons are a thing. Balloons, what they do, we're going to place it over here. They allow you to see the enemy. So you have to raise your balloons. If you don't have balloons, you can't see the enemy super bad. So you got to have your balloons up. They can destroy your balloons with, for example, their aircraft, which is really bad for you, and you also have to make sure that you protect it. So why didn't I place the balloon down here behind my lines, right? If I'm trying to protect it, that's what makes the most sense. Well, no, because the balloon has like limited range, so if you place it too close to you, you will mostly see your units. Now, this is a defensive battle, so we do not need to go and take over their control points. So technically, we can be a little bit more, like we can have the balloons closer to us. If you're going more into the enemy, you need to be a little bit more careful about attacking them. Next, we're going to place our artillery. This is, you can see look at the mini map, and you can see the sort of shadow, gray shadow. This is saying like the view of the artillery. So you can see that the artillery has like really good range, so you don't have to like put it super far towards the enemy because we'll just be able to hit them. And you obviously want to protect it so we don't get killed by an enemy. Next up, we've got troop deployment. You can deploy troops in battle or before battle. If you do it before battle, it's cheaper because it's just cheaper. If you're playing with the allies, you have to keep in mind that there are multiple nationalities and they don't super like each other. So if you have like a French unit next to an American unit, they will take morale hit. Germans, no issues because everybody's German. Germans. This is such a bad joke. Germans solve this differently. So Germans got no problems there. They have some conscript infantry and other variations, so there will be something similar there, but it doesn't work the way it works for the Americans and the French and whatever other units we get. So just so you know, so you want to be placing your infantry inside these trenches. You can have typically gonna have 2 units in a trench. What's important to note here is that only 1 unit inside the trench will actually be why can I put it in there? Reporting for duty. Will actually be shooting. The other one is just kind of hanging out. You can swap them if you need to, and this is fairly useful because you want the people with the biggest strength to shoot. Pre-battle bombardment, huge stuff. So what you can do here is you can shoot up a bombardment beforehand. There are different types of bombardment. Some of them you need to research especially, and it's especially good if you're going on the offensive. Not that important if, well, actually it's actually pretty good if you're doing defensive as well. I feel like we didn't click on the pre-battle bombardment. I think I missed that. I should have clicked. No, it will do it by itself. It will do it by itself because I placed artillery here, so it will automatically shoot in the pre-battle bombardment, I believe. Yeah. Okay. So up here you can see this. This is showing you like the, I guess like the power or like potential or I think it's like national strength or will of in the battle. This little thing over here is showing you who is winning. Look at this, tell me who is winning. This is supposed to mean that I am winning, but to me, intuitively, this looks like the Germans are winning because there's more space towards the German like thing than to me. But it's actually supposed to be that it's like, imagine it's like kind of like a way that it's tilted in my direction. So I am winning. not super intuitive to me. Like I in my when I did this by myself, the German were like doing a ceasefire and was like, why are you doing a ceasefire when you're winning? And then the game was like major victory. I'm like, what? This thing was telling me that I was losing, but apparently this means we're winning. Obviously it's tutorial, so they make it a little bit easier for you, but whatever. Yeah, so the red and blue at the top shows combat potential for both sides. See, this is why this confused me, because they have a higher firepower potential, but apparently I have more potential to win? Very strange. But, yeah. Maybe it's because we're defensive, so technically, yeah, maybe actually it's because we're defensive. So if they ask for a ceasefire right now, only the attacker can ask for a ceasefire, the defender can only like surrender. So if they ask for a ceasefire, it's like we didn't get any of my stuff, so maybe that's why I'm winning. It's a little strange, but whatever. Yeah, they want me to jump to these, so we'll just do it. Just so that we can move through the tutorial. Okay. Regions, not important. We're gonna jump through a little bit. Okay, they want me to set a reinforcement now with American infantry, which is gonna be a little bit more expensive than I did it previously. But you can place it outside of the trenches if you want to, which is not what you want to do, but you want to, you can do it. Okay. Down here are formations, so you can change formation for column to skirmish, and you can also make them halt fully. Not super important again. Okay, so these are my American infantry is now running into battle, and you can tell them where you want them to go. So I can say, hey, go there, and these guys will say, hey, go there, let's say. And they are like they tend to sort of run into trenches and then move through inside the trenches because it's obviously safer. Right now what we have to do is we have to raise the balloon so that we can see what the enemy is doing. So if the balloons would not raise, we just don't see much there. Well, we can see the trenches obviously, but we can't see like where the units are. But now we can actually see what's where, which is super important. Alright, now they want us to go to heavy artillery, so let's do it. And we can set up attacks. Over here we've got a couple ways to attack. We've got precision barrage, which just does damage. And then we've got a gas attack and air burst, but also you can get like rolling barrages if you have, I think, light artillery, which is great because it does like a lot of smoke. So it will allow you to sort of defend your own, make it harder for them to hit your own people. You can shoot at people in the trenches. They will take reduced damage, so it's better to, because we're defending, it's better to wait till they start running at us and only then shoot them. Right now I chose to shoot at their heavy artillery because, like I said, if I shoot into the trench, it's not going to do much, so we're just going to shoot. The green thing is the health bar, the blue thing is morale, just so you know. Now they're shooting at us, so we're going to watch this. You will see this for like a second. If you are outside of a trench, you should potentially like try to go that way. We can fit more people here, so we have to move them elsewhere. You can try to like avoid it and run away, but yeah, whatever. And next it wants me to withdraw, so you can click on a unit here that has lower morale and you can tell it to withdraw. This will not affect the score. This is important because the score at the end like affects who is considered like a victorious, and you need to have victories even if they're minor so that the national well of your like side is strong. So that's why. Okay, so we can observe the battlefield. Okay. It's just telling us about hiding in trenches. It's not that important. They won't let us move through it, so we gotta kind of wait. Okay. And they want me to select a raider, which, okay. And move it through the sort of trenches, so sure. And just like before, they will try to move, if there are trenches, they will try to move using the trenches. If there are no trenches, they will simply move. It will just like run through. Alright, now we can see an enemy rolling barrage. So this is mostly, they do damage, but they mostly suppress and drop smoke. So this is useful if you're doing an attack. You would want your people to run like immediately behind the barrage, so that they don't get hit by it themselves, but so that they can you can shoot at them. All right, so they're coming. So we got to get rid now. Everyone is sort of auto attacking. Like you don't have to tell them to go and attack, except for like if someone's in range, they will sort of attack by themselves. But when you, for example, have your artillery, you want to set this up. So what I'm gonna do now is I can see them coming. So I'm gonna set this up here, and by the time it shoots, it's actually going to hit them up. So my second artillery is here. This is why I like to have artillery nearby each other, so it's a bit easier to attack. So you can watch my artillery shoot, and then my other weapons like this MG nest automatically firing. Everyone in my trench is automatically firing. We're just sort of going to town on them as expected. Tanks are interesting because tanks give like a morale bonus to the infantry nearby. So you want, and also they work kind of like an mobile tower-ish, so you want to have them kind of nearby so they can shoot. Now as soon as they get to the wire, they actually have to walk a little bit slower. You can actually see them moving just a little bit slower through the wire, so that's why we're getting a little bit more time to shoot at them. Now at this point my artillery it's not quite yet reloaded, but it's going to be able to get reloaded soon, so we can do another one of these bigger attacks if we need to. You can also switch. So for example, what I could do is I could try to like move one of these there and one of these there, so that I have a stronger unit up ahead and the weaker unit can sort of go back and defend. Okay, so what they're doing is they're shooting at one of my MG nests. That's alright. And they're also trying to doing some suppression attack. Okay, now we're going to be placing up our beautiful, beautiful tanks. One thing to keep in mind with your tanks is they certain type of tanks cannot move through and like through the trenches. So you need to be a little bit careful about like where you're placing them in the beginning so they can get in. Okay, I'm gonna prep another one of these artillery precision stuff once they start coming. You can actually start shooting them very early, it's fine. That way we might even be able to get like multiple shots, which would be really great. And notice that all of this is still costing me it's still costing me like supply. So every time I'm doing this, it does cost me some supply. So that is another important thing to keep in mind, is that you need to have enough supply to be able to do these things in time. Now, like I said, this tank, it's sort of providing a morale bonus. So I could move it here. You don't necessarily want to have it in front of a trench, but you can see like the morale bonus went up super, super high. And it also sort of able to shoot at the enemy as well. So we're gonna move it here so it's a little bit hidden behind this front trench. And also, we definitely want it. Oh, get out! Move it out of the way of this attack. Okay. So now they're moving at us with an aircraft. There are 4 different missions you can do with your aircraft. You can do harassment. This will do starting rounds on any infantry that are outside of a trench. You can do bombing rounds, so this is just bombing. You can do balloon blasting so they can't see you, and you can do air superiority, which is what they want us to do, and this is essentially shooting down any of their trains. The starting position doesn't matter. This is just saying where the plane is going to start. So honestly, it's kind of irrelevant, but whatever. So you can see that their planes are here, and then my planes are coming to try to stop them. And they will keep doing this as long as they have enough fuel. So it's essentially like you pick one missions and that's going. Actually, no, you could do multiple missions if you really wanted to. But I guess we could do the harassment just for fun, just to sort of watch my my planes. Oh, I need to also like use my artilleries here. But you can see that the plane that's doing the harassment missions, which presumably is this one, it's just gonna start moving and hitting them when it sort of sees them there outside of their trench, and it's just gonna attack them. Oh, actually, it's I don't know which one of these is the one that's shooting at them, but maybe this one. Yeah, and you can see that all of my stuff is just going at them. And for example, here I can switch so that the unit that has more health is the one that's actually shooting and not the one with less health. Strange wasn't super helpful because they're aiming that way and not this way, but it's fine. It's fine, guys. Alright. Right now they're going to ask for a ceasefire, so you can see based on this point that I'm winning, so we're going to accept it. You can also deny it, not in the tutorial obviously, but if the setup is not as good as you want, you might just say like, hey, we don't want this. Pretty self-explanatory. Alright, we have pushed back the enemy and taken ground. The people back home will see this as a success, which hopefully will press upon them the need to see this war through. Now I'm gonna jump, and we're actually gonna do an offensive battle as well. We probably won't be able to see it in this video, but there's also research. I can't click on it right now, but they will eventually let me. And research allows you to gain like new abilities, for example, in combat or on the map or etc. Okay, so we're gonna go from Suzanne. We're gonna attack, and we're gonna let this out resolve in a stalemate. And this has caused the battle fatigue, which you can see by this little smoke, both in Suzanne and in Châtellon-sur-Marne. So just so you know, and you can see that we lost region morale because of the battle fatigue. So the cap on the morale is lowered. You can also go here and you can change your national supply, your money into national supply, so that if I need more supply, I can do this. And now we're gonna attack, and we're gonna engage in this battle. And they already have a battle fatigue of 10 from the beginning because they got shot at from different positions. Alright, so here you can see my trenches. Because I'm attacking, my trenches aren't like that important. What we want to do is to reduce region start. So sometimes we need to, so we're going to need to take over the control points, and eventually they will surrender. So support structures, what you can do is undermine explosives. This is actually something that we had to research. And what this does, it allows you to destroy like an entire area. Now again, I can't move, so I can really only place it like here, or like not in the greatest position. So we're going to place it here, for example. And this is something that you will detonate. So this will not happen at the start of the combat. It will happen eventually when I choose to, essentially. Now we've got some heavy artillery. We need to build the balloons, obviously. So we would love it. I'm gonna place it a bit further ahead, just so I need to be able to see the enemy better. Okay, and they want us to prepare for the attack, right? Now, I have some artillery. I have 4... I have a lot of artillery. I don't know if we need more. Yeah, the mortar has a very small... I don't know if the mortar is worth it because it doesn't have a range to get towards the enemy, so I don't think we're gonna bother with it. Let's take some more of this heavy field artillery just because we can. I think we'll take one more. And I'm gonna grab some infantry. So we're gonna try to take some of this sort of basic infantry, and we're gonna place it in some of our trenches up here. But what I want to do is actually want to attack from kind of like the side. So we're gonna try to get like a bunch of infantry units here that we're gonna be using stuff. We're also going to take this French raider, or actually we might just take American infantry here as well. Just sort of place them all over because they're cheaper at the beginning. And I'm also going to take like we're gonna take like 2 tanks. And I think we're happy for the moment. Yeah, I think we're good. So we're going to begin the battle. Now what I want to do is I want to kind of like stealthily move in from the side a little bit and try to get an attack that way. We'll see how possible it is. We're going to have to do some rolling barrages, but essentially I want to try to a little bit confuse the enemy with like a rolling barrage and etc. So first thing we're going to do is raise the balloon so that we can see like where they are. So okay, so this is the bombardment, so they want us to turn this on, so we're gonna do it. So we're just gonna say hit on the bombardment here, And this is you can do siege alter, so you can click on bombardment on a specific spot, or you can click on the undermine button, which is the thing here. So we can watch the explosion, so you can see how it kind of sort of blew up all of these trenches here, which is great. So we will be able to move through that quite nicely. And yeah. Now we can also do air support, so they want us to do bombing round missions. So we're going to focus the bombing round kind of, I think, here on some of the trenches. So they're going to go there and they're going to attack. And we could also do this siege and infantry like radio call there. So we could say, hey, I really want you to like do a siege over here and attack that way. So what I want to do here is what I want to show it to you. So I want to grab some of these tanks and I want to move them here. And we're going to try to attack their balloon. This is the first thing they do, because if we can destroy their balloon, we are actually going to be able to move in without them seeing us. So that would be great. So we're going to move that tank there. Hopefully it went. I don't know if it went, but right there. And then I want to grab some of this infantry and move it here into the forest. So it's a little bit strange because we're going to be a little bit in the open here, but I think it's going to be worth my time. Also, these infantry also try to move in the forest. But mostly we're trying to move in with the tanks because we really need to destroy this. So we're going to move here and we're going to try to destroy them. Now I'm going to take some of my artillery and do just some precision bombing shots, just so like it looks like we're doing something and they don't feel like maybe we're just like hanging around. I don't want to use too many of my phones because I will need to do rolling barrages soon. But you can see like we're doing some damage, something's happening. It's not like nothing's going on. And then here we're just going to town on their balloons. So hopefully they will not be able to see much in this direction. Now we're going to grab all of our hidden infantry here and we're going to try to move it here into the other forest. Again, just so we can get a little bit of a backup there. Now we destroyed their tanks, so we're going to move with these tanks a little bit in. And we're going to try to attack at that heavy artillery. Now at this point I've got a bunch of units here now. So what we're going to do is we're going to start our attack. So we can't see where they're moving because they're hiding in the trenches there, but that's okay. They still have some balloons elsewhere, so it's not like we destroyed all of their balloons, but we got stuff. So we're going to start with some rolling barrages. I'm going to do a rolling barrage like this. And I think I'm going to do another rolling barrage over here. And I'm actually thinking with these tanks, maybe we'll try to move that way and then shoot at there. We'll see how that goes. And I'm going to try to move some of my infantry quickly. Actually, no, not all of them, sorry. Just 2 units quickly into their trenches. So the rolling barrage should be already gone. So now I'm moving in the smoke, but I'm not getting hit. And that should be the benefit. So now that I'm in here, what are my tanks doing? Okay, tanks, could you go and shoot at that, please? I don't know if I'll be able to get a shot at that. And I don't know if my infantry, yeah, it can't move because it's sort of moving in the opposite direction. So unfortunately, there aren't that many trenches that we could try to sort of run through. But we could, for example, try to just run straight into there and see what happens. I might need to grab these tanks, actually, and start shooting over here. I was going to go at the balloons, but I can't afford to do that because they can open fire at me as my guys are moving through here. So we need to get them, so we need to use the tanks to go to town on this. And then I'm going to move another set of 2 units here inside this trench. Okay, why are you guys moving through the wire? Could you like move that way? I'm going to change it to the column. I thought that I was telling them to move through there, but they're kind of like pushing through this. So you can see that they're trying to run into, we're taking a lot of damage on this. So the hole that we did here wasn't like super beneficial for us, but as you can see, that's okay. Now let's try to move my tanks and try to attack this. Now there are trenches there in the back. Oh, they're coming at me, so we won't be able to do like that much defensively. But what we could do here is with some of these other units, I could just try to tell you to go that way. We will again have to go a little bit through the wire, but we're actually doing a lot of damage there. I think we should be able to go inside there. Oh, why are these things not hitting this? Okay, good. Now again, we're taking some damage through moving through the wires, but that's okay. Okay, now we're gonna need to move our people into these trenches. Now remember that they can't all move in there, so some of them we just have to kind of go in here into other spots just so we can get the move in, because we really need to be hidden. We can't afford to like stay in. So we're gonna take 2 of these and we're gonna move them in here. And the rest will hopefully try to sort of hide inside. Like you can go in there. Yeah. Now we're probably going to discover some enemy infantry on the way. So the way this works, if there's an enemy infantry, is that they're going to go like into a big combat here. There's a bigger space here in these sort of like higher positions, so we can do it that way. Now with our units, we can shoot this way, so that's a bit unfortunate. My tanks should be moving in a little bit here. And we'll try to shoot at that. Now you can see this means I'm slowly taking control over this position. Oh, actually we could shoot with our tanks straight up at them. Because they are, you can't always do it, but if they are sort of on top and not hidden below, then you can do this. You can see that we're getting shot over here. So what we could do, for example, with people in this trench, we can start shooting at them as they're coming. And then with one of my tanks, we're going to have to start shooting at the dead spot, otherwise the tanks will get destroyed. I don't know if they can shoot. No, so in order to shoot here, we would have to move out of the trench, which is not the greatest of ideas, but we'll do it anyway. We're just going to go at them. Otherwise, I could have moved the tank in there. And you can see we're still slowly taking control of this particular point. We're already winning. So because we're winning, what we could do is we could just say, hey, I want to cease fire. Down here. Oh, it's because the capture point is contested. So this capture point is contested, so we can't do it yet. But once we take control of it, we could be like, hey, we're kind of down. Let's cease fire. And they can say yes or no. So it's up to them, obviously. Okay, so they're already surrendering. But you can see we could move into the X button if we needed to as well. And so we won this, and now as a result, we're going to be, if we did enough damage, we're going to be able, well actually because we're attacking, we're going to be able to jump into that region on the map, which is what I want to show you as well. And because we're now in that hex, we're going to be gaining like whatever was there. Again, we can change it with the research, but like the trenches or the other support levels that were there, we can sort of keep them. Yeah, structures are taken over by the new owner. And then you could also buy some like upgrades here if you needed to. The region morale here is super low because it has been attacked a lot. So this is something to keep in mind, is that I'm in that hex now, but my battle fatigue is super high. My battle fatigue will get restored at the start of my next turn, so they could potentially attack me to try to get the hex back, but then they've got the battle fatigue afterwards. It's kind of something to keep in mind. And yeah, I think this is all you need to know about this amazing game. And I'm definitely gonna, well, I hope I'm gonna be able to play this when it comes into full release. And yeah, subscribe so that you can see it when it happens. See you there. Bye bye.